actually my second time playing this mission because the briefing pretty clearly indicated, or is it, that there's an AI plan for both sides, so I did my default plan as the Germans, and the British didn't move all game. So I decided not to upload that because it's kind of a turkey shoot. Uh, I'm pretty well convinced that no, as a matter of fact, the British do not have an AI plan. So I'm gonna play as the British this time because I'm pretty sure the Germans probably have an AI plan. It doesn't say H2H anywhere, either in the title or anywhere in the briefing. Anywho, 28 May 1940. Uh, Germans are hemming the Allies up against Dunkirk right about now. The retreating British and pursuing Germans both have the same objective: clear the wreckage from the bridge at Sigh. Both sides will need to make careful use of their pioneer and engineer assets. Situation: Belgium has surrendered. Lord Gort has ordered the BEF to retreat to Dunkirk. The 2nd Light Horse Lancers, LHL, is moving northwest, conducting a rearguard mission while shepherding the slower moving units of the division support echelons towards the sea. The German 20th Motorized Division is pursuing. The LHL is just south of the bridges over the Bregas Canal. It is waiting for a Royal Artillery Regiment to complete its movement over the one remaining bridge. At that moment, fate intervenes to alter the British staff's plan. A flight of Ju-88s makes a low-level run at the bridge, hitting one of the Royal Artillery ammunition lorries. With a blinding flash, the crowded bridge is left sagging and strewn with burning wrecks. Historical. It is best played against another human in IP or PVM. I don't have another human, and that would take forever anyway, so just playing AI. It is recommended to play with you as the British and the AI as Germans. Very strongly indicating that the Germans should have an AI, so this playthrough should be fine. With a plus 25% to the computer's handicap, I'm not giving anyone any handicaps or bonuses. Just playing as is. You can also play the AI as the British with you as the Germans, which is what I tried last time and didn't work because actually it looks like the British probably do not have an AI plan. Okay, and the rest of that is just balance notes, which I don't care about because okay, playing allies this time. Okay, you are the commander of the rear guard for the 2nd Light Horse Lancers. It is May 28, 1940. Casually switching between European date format and American date format, the day, month, year, and month, day, year. Personally, I prefer year, month, day. It is May 28th, 1940. It is late morning, and the squadron radio net is alive with excited voices. Calm is quickly restored as the Southern Squadron commander comes up and begins to speak. He is calm, proper, but blunt. He orders discipline over the radio at all times and calls for a meeting of the key regimental officers at the Place de la Guerre in the village of Sigh. The officers quickly assemble. The squadron commander speaks. The situation is grave. Of the 4 bridges of the canal, only the one rail bridge is still standing and is damaged and blocked by destroyed Royal Artillery lorries. I should be saying this in a British accent, and is blocked by destroyed Royal Artillery lorries. Okay, lorries. The sappers inform me that it will be at least 30 minutes before we can clear the bridge. A seconded officer from one of the guard regiments speaks. Jerry is just behind. We should dismount the squadron and get the men across now. Squadron commander, stop that rot. This regiment has never left its mounts. Not at Havana, not in the peninsula, not in the Crimea, not even in the mud of the Great War. We didn't do it then, and we won't do it now. A Force Commander, that's you. You will hold the Huns and give the Royal Engineers 30 minutes to clear the bridge. Once we cross, you are to ensure no one follows us. Destroy the bridge if you can. Okay. Squadron Commander to all the officers. I expect each man to resist until he has no ammo. After that, it is every officer's duty to save as many men as he can by getting them over the canal. Okay. Mission. Exit over the north edge for critical division signal trucks, shown as Australian trucks. Destroy the rail bridge to prevent the enemy from utilizing it. Stop the enemy from exiting his forces to the north. Intelligence. The Germans have air superiority and strong artillery support. You have been in contact with mechanized recce and light tanks all morning. Forces on map and hasten to the area. 1 infantry company, minus mechanized. 7 light tank troops, 2 MG, 5 cruisers. 1 anti-tank section, motorized. 1 anti-aircraft section, motorized. 1 core signal unit, motorized. Okay, those are the signal trucks that are shown as Australian. They're eligible to exit to the north for points. 1 engineer platoon, minus motorized. 2 squadrons are available, but they lack any demolitions. The company commander of the engineers has gone to scrounge some from a French unit. Okay, and 1 4.5-inch FO with 3 target reference points. Okay. German motorcycles are represented as Kubelwagens. Panzer 38T are shown as Panzer 3Fs. And it's interesting that they have to represent the Panzer 38T as something else, because Panzer 38s do show up in Barbarossa Berlin, in Common Mission Barbarossa Berlin, but apparently there aren't any Panzer 38s represented in Common Mission Afrika Korps. I guess none were ever attached to the Afrika Korps. So even though there were Panzer 38s present in France in 1940, they're not represented in Combat Mission Afrika Korps, so the German forces will never have them in any of these France 1940 scenarios. I'm not sure that the Panzer 3F is a good stand-in for the Panzer 38, but there's plenty of Panzer 3Fs present in France in 1940, so it's not anachronistic to the period. Okay, that's the bridge. There's the exit zone, very clearly marked. Bofors 40mm AA gun. Another 40mm anti-aircraft gun. Ah, these are the engineers. Bridge looks fine to me. Obviously, the engineers are going to be there working on the bridge. This is my main force, thus confirming that the British do not have an AI plan, because they just spawned right here exactly as they are currently placed when I did my German run. Now, unfortunately, having played this once through as the Germans, I already know where the Germans are coming from. Fortunately, it is from pretty much every direction they could come from, so I still have to account for all of that. You know, from over there, and over there, and over there. Pretty much everywhere there's a road, except back there. Oh yeah, and over there, which I would not have expected. thought to account for if I had played this through as allies the first time. Okay. So I have a fairly large setup area here. Set up my defense pretty much wherever I want, except for this big no man's land here, between the edge of this setup zone and the bridge. It looks like the bridge is actually already clear, which is surprising. I thought there were a bunch of mines on it last time. Just back the engineers up a little bit in case they spawn on the bridge next time, or as soon as I start the mission. These are the signal trucks that I need to get across the bridge for points. So obviously I'll want them front-loaded for getting to the bridge. Actually, those points should be... I should be pretty much guaranteed to get those, as I can... Ooh, driving along the tracks probably isn't the fastest option. Ground conditions are dry, so I can drive pretty quickly just straight over that ground. So I'm going to line up these lorries, since we're British, along the road here, and drive them straight towards this bridge, and then straight across to the exit zones pretty much as soon as the mission begins. The rest of the troops I guess will be... Well, they'll need to stay in position long enough to ensure that the trucks get away. And then I'll want to get them away, because I'm sure these troops want to escape to Dunkirk. They won't be particularly eager to die for their country. They would really much rather that I have them make the other bastard die for their country. And, you know, get them away to fight another day. So, first priority, we set up a defense long enough for the bridge to be made. The defense needs to hold long enough for the bridge to be made usable, assuming it isn't right at the start of the mission. And then for these 4 trucks to get away. Once the bridge is usable, the trucks race across it and get away. Once the trucks are away, I will conduct a fighting withdrawal to get the rest of my forces away. I don't think I get any points for that. That's just, you know, good roleplay. Obviously, you know, the objective in the grander scheme of things is everyone wants to get away and not be captured by the Germans. Oh, and since there's lots of vehicles in this scenario, this one actually makes a better showcase for the France 1940, the European theme mods that I've got currently installed. So, see all the British vehicles in European green rather than desert tan. And this Cruiser Mark III there. And Cruiser Mark I. Obviously designed in that period when everyone was obsessing over having multiple turrets. 40mm L50 main gun there. Let's take a look at the British infantry. There we go. And we'll do the same for the Germans once they show up. So, I kind of feel like I want to concentrate my defense on the town. Town is good defensible. Okay, let's do a terrain analysis here. So what do we got here? We got... You know, I should once more rewatch the... there's a video that I found that covers how terrain analysis is supposed to be done pretty well. Was the current acronym that's in use OACOC, and I seem to remember ACOCA being in use at some point, but basically what we got, okay, there's two O's. One of them is observation and fields of fire, the other is obstacles. Okay, so obstacles, avenues of approach, key terrain, observation of fields of fire, cover and concealment. Not necessarily in that order. And in fact, definitely not necessarily in that order, because there have been multiple acronyms over time that actually change the order. Okay, so avenues of approach. Okay, well, let's actually key terrain, the bridge. Everyone wants the bridge. The bridge is how you get from, you know, operationally everything over here on towards Dunkirk and, you know, everything that's off in this direction. Or I should probably go over what exactly defines key terrain again, because obviously the bridge is the objective for everyone. Everyone wants the bridge. It is operationally key. It is not necessarily tactically key. You don't gain any... It doesn't dominate any features or cover any... Yeah, okay, yeah. We want to make sure we control the bridge. Avenues of approach. Well, these big woods here block vehicle movement. Infantry can get through here just fine, and I do want to make sure that I don't just assume that I'm safe from infantry approach, but no vehicles are coming through the woods. So the major avenues for vehicles to come through are through this big flat area here, and some of them may be able to make their way around the sides along this road and along this road. So there's kind of three very clear ways they can come from. This way, and this way. And of course everyone has to converge on this bridge, and this bridge is the only avenue of approach to get across. Well, I mean, okay, avenue of approach qualifies an avenue of approach. It needs to be, you know, a route to get to the objective. The bridge is the objective, and as such can't be an avenue of approach to the objective. But it is the objective because it is an avenue of approach to the wider operational goal of getting to Dunkirk. Okay. Ooh, we've got soft ground here. This soft ground and this soft ground I probably don't need to worry about too much. And my enemy, I don't need to worry about much at all because I'm going to be defending. But I can't count on that slowing up the enemy much because, well, it's in front of terrain that's impassable to enemy vehicles anyway. this soft ground here is going to pose a bit of an obstacle. I mean, it's not impassable, but it is an obstacle to vehicles coming from this direction here. But actually, vehicles coming from over here, they pretty much either have to swing around this forest here, which is impassable to vehicles, through this soft ground, or up this narrow choke point here. And traversing this soft ground, you can either move over it very, very slowly and have a low chance of losing your vehicle to getting stuck in the mud or stuck in the soft ground, or traverse it very quickly and have a high chance of your vehicle getting bogged down. There's a good chance... Well, okay, the AI isn't smart enough to know that, so it's probably just going to move over it fairly quickly and lose a couple of vehicles. But if I was going up against a human, a player who knows that about soft ground, and there's a good chance that I could catch his vehicles moving very slowly if I were to put an anti-tank gun, like, here. I do probably want an anti-tank gun facing there. You know, no, I think, what have I got? I've got 0, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These Cruiser Mark 1 and Cruiser Mark 3 tanks. What is the visual difference between a Mark 1 and a Mark 3? The Mark 3 doesn't have the unnecessary extra turrets. So the visual difference is actually pretty obvious once you identify it. The turrets look pretty similar. The main turret with the gun. I have the same 40mm L50 gun, but Mark 1 has these pointless extra machine gun turrets in the front. Mark 3 does not. It is possible that they are identical in every other regard. Okay, not quite. Just looking at this central bit here. It's a little bit more curved. It's got a bit of a slope on it, on the Mark 1. And there are other minor differences as well. So they are not the same vehicle. Okay, so I've got those 7, and I have 4 more tanks. These appear to be armed only with machine guns, so I cannot count on these for anti-armor work. They will be more than adequate for dealing with enemy infantry, though. Okay, 7 gun-armed, anti-armor capable tanks, plus 4 more perfectly effective against infantry, but worthless against enemy tanks. Then I have 2 40mm, aka 2-pounder anti-tank guns here. And then a bunch of infantry. All attached to 1 platoon HQ, meaning it's probably just 1 platoon. Okay, we got company HQs here. So there's multiple directions the enemy's going to be coming from. One thing I do know is they're all going to be converging here. Unfortunately, I can't just set up all my defenses along here, because, well, narratively, the whole point of this is we're stuck trying to get across the bridge. So most of our forces are stuck on the wrong end of it. So just narratively, we can't be setting up forces entirely on this bank to defend it. Also, my deployment zone for the bulk of my forces is way over here. At FO. Okay. Got these 3 target reference points. I should put the target reference points in spots that the enemy is likely to be, but that I'm going to have a hard time getting my FO to observe directly. So I know I was told that I have an FO somewhere. Where are you? Ooh, I have anti-tank rifles. 13.9mm anti-tank rifles, actually a respectable anti-tank rifle caliber, unlike the 7.9mm anti-tank rifles that the Germans have. Essentially just a plain old rifle bullet, just maybe steel cord, and fired out of a higher velocity rifle. It's no wonder that thing isn't very effective. This, I don't know, might actually make it through some early tank armor. The German anti-tank rifles are fine against, well, British Bren carriers, pretty much. Oh, and a couple of these are anti-tank rifle carriers. So, that's, okay. 2 anti-tank rifles in carriers, plus looks like just the 1 on foot. But the reason I am browsing through my infantry right now is because one of them, that's, actually is a 2-inch mortar. These should be a forward observer. Where is my forward observer? Briefing did say I get a forward observer, right? Yeah. One 4.5-inch FO with TRPs. Or, hang on. To be over here. That infantry platoon there. That A again, and that A again. Is there anyone else? Oh, there's another objective back there. Anyone else that I haven't seen yet? Okay, now everyone is, somewhere around here. Okay, I have no idea where my FO is. Okay, I need to figure out... I need to actually start placing these guys. A task complicated by the fact that, I think this is actually the first defensive battle I've fought in combat mission in this playthrough. And prior to this playthrough, it's been a while since I've played combat mission. So yeah, I need to completely relearn, remember how to fight defensively. It's kind of getting a handle on fighting offensively. Okay, so let's break this down into multiple steps. First step, figure out where I want to put my AT guns. Second step, I'll figure out where I want to put my tanks. Then I'll place my infantry and the carriers for them. And while I'm at that, I'll probably place the anti-personnel only tanks. And then last but not least is I'll place my TRPs. So step 1. Find good spots for my anti-tank guns. Now I do know, because I've played this once already, that the Germans will get tanks that come down this road. However, that is not going to be the bulk of their tank force. They are also, well, they get vehicles that could come down this road. I don't know the German AI plans, so I don't know if they actually do come down this road. They get vehicles that show up over here. They probably are going to go down this road. And you know what? I could easily identify, even if I hadn't played this already, that this is a route that I need to watch out for. So I need something capable of watching this route to be watching this route. And actually, I'm surprised that my deployment zone extends this far down, because some German tanks are going to spawn over here. So that's probably not the best scenario design choice there. Okay. I have 2 anti-tank guns and 3 routes that I want to watch with my anti-tank guns. Oh, I do have, however, 3 anti-tank rifles. 2 in ATR carriers, of course, but let's actually place the ATR carriers first. So one of them will be watching this route. What I want for that route is probably the actual AT rifleman. I like how I really want to thank this scenario designer for setting up all my forces in a fairly organized manner that is going to make it fairly easy for me to deploy them the way I want. Because some scenarios I've noticed they show up on map in just the worst disorganized mob that I have to spend a few minutes untangling before I can do anything useful with. So, thank you to whoever designed this scenario, to paying some mind to organization. Okay. That's probably... might actually be safer if I moved him back here. Yeah. A little bit of a gap there that vehicles might be able to get through. Yeah, there's a little bit of a gap here of terrain that is actually passable to vehicles. Some of this ground is traversable by vehicles. Does it actually lead out of the woods? Some of it does, actually. So some vehicles could actually... I don't think the pathfinding of the AI is that good. So unless the scenario designer meticulously told vehicles how to navigate through these woods, I still probably don't have to worry about vehicles popping up out of the woods. But that's something to keep in mind if I'm ever playing this map against a human opponent. Actually, I can see that spot with this anti-tank rifle anyway. Okay. So, that anti-tank rifleman is going to be watching that route. This ATR carrier I can't see through the trees there. Oh, actually, the tree isn't the problem. It's blocked by the house. See, I want somewhere for him that gets him lots of cover, but also has good line of sight on that route. Actually, can I dismount? Because best thing would be if I could dismount this guy and put him, say, in these woods right here. There's a clump of trees here. Provide pretty decent concealment. I do not seem to have the capability of dismounting the carriers, which is unfortunate. I would definitely be able to do that in the Combat Mission X2 games. But I guess I can't do that here. I have been finding the first-gen Combat Mission games to be surprisingly serviceable. They still are very good games and hold up quite well. But the newer Combat Mission games do have some improvements here and there. I mean, there's, you know, graphical improvements, obviously, but some actual gameplay improvements as well. Still, not so much that these earlier games aren't still perfectly serviceable. Okay. Okay, I need to find a spot for this carrier to actually... See, I could... Oh no, I can't put him in the woods. Because it's a vehicle, and these woods are impassable to vehicles. Okay, what if I put him on the corner here? And if things get a little hot for him, he can retreat around the corner. Doesn't have terribly good line of sight along very much of that road. Okay, so that's not... Oh, okay. I think I see a spot for him. Maybe... Yeah, right around here. My thinking is this will have excellent line of sight down this road. When things get a little hot for him, he can retreat back around this corner. And this house is providing him some cover from anything appearing from this direction. It's not universally effective, but okay. I wonder if actually somewhere a little further back he'll provide good observation down the road, somewhat better protection to his left. There's not really any corners for him to safely reverse behind. If I come over here, I could pull him back here, but then he's vulnerable from that direction. Okay. You know, that might actually be the best spot for him. If I could dismount him, then I would want to put the anti-tank rifleman inside in this clump of trees here. And that would, you know, provide excellent observation for him. Pretty good concealment, because, you know, an infantryman hiding out in the woods, that's pretty tough to spot. And when things start getting hot, I can just run away. The clump of trees will provide some cover for him to run to his back as he runs away. And then around this corner and maybe take a position in that building or there or wherever. The point is, you know, good observation, good concealment, and a workable escape plan. Those are the the three main things that I want to look for in a good position, in a good defensive position, is good observation, field of fire, good cover and concealment, and a good escape plan. So this position here has some cover and concealment to the left from the angles that he's not facing. Good observation down the main road. No cover to his front, which is, unfortunate, but hard to find for a vehicle. But he's got an escape plan. So he can get away pretty easily once things start getting hot. It's not the perfect position, but it's an okay position. So let's get a position for the last ATR carrier. And that one is going to be facing front. So maybe about there. Yeah, the main threats are showing up on this road. I can back them up and have them poke into that corner a little bit. Now if the tree here is gonna make him a little bit harder to spot, make it a little bit more likely that he sees the enemy and gets to shoot first. Really, I'd rather not have the anti-tank rifle shoot from the carrier, because, the carrier, I mean, it's smaller and more concealable than a tank, but it's still much more conspicuous than just an infantryman with an anti-tank rifle hiding out in a house or in a clump of trees or behind a hedge. Now, maybe it'll turn out that I can actually dismount them once I am not in the deployment phase anymore. And if that turns out to be the case, then what I'm going to do is I'll reverse this thing behind these buildings here, dismount the anti-tank rifleman, run him around to this clump of trees here. Which, actually, I'm not going to move you from that spot for long. I just want to check. How is their line of sight from here? Okay, actually, not great. Okay, that's worth knowing, actually. At least along the road, it only starts getting line of sight around here. Okay. What if... Ooh. Okay, okay. I know where I want to put you. I have all this freedom in where I put things because I have such a large deployment area. Let's go ahead and put you right there. In fact, scattered trees is not impassable terrain to vehicles, so back you up into the scattered trees. Hopefully that'll provide you some concealment. And have line of sight in there and along the road a little bit. I can push you up to get you to see more, or back you up and over to this corner here to shoot tanks in there. Okay, yeah, that's a good spot for you. Yeah, that... I'm getting the feeling that the part 1 of this video is all going to be set up. I think it's possible that setting up for defense is a little bit more complicated than setting up for an attack, than organizing for an attack. Attacking is harder overall, but that's a lot more decisions to be made actually in the thick of things. Whereas a lot of the decision making is being front loaded to the beginning of it all in the defense. Okay. You go ahead and get these company commanders embarked on friend carriers. Okay. Am I happy with that position? I mean, it could be better. Not the worst. Thing is, it'll be hitting anything that comes up from this direction frontally. Ideally, it should be, you know, ambushing from the side or something, if I can get it to do that. You know, that might be a good position for the anti-tank gun. For this thing, maybe... like... over here, perhaps? It's kind of got line of sight on things coming up over that way, and we'll be able to hit them a little bit more on the side. And we'll, of course, be able to reverse behind these buildings to escape when things get hot. Although, yeah, the best positions I want to give to my anti-tank rifles. Or my anti-tank guns. I think I do want to keep the carriers they're mounted to with the guns, in case I want them to change position. It's a dig-in option. We don't have that option in there. Ooh, yeah, there's no dig-in functionality in the Combat Mission X2 games. I mean, you get, you know, foxhole fortification types, foxhole and trench fortification types, but no dig-in button. That's nice. Okay, and that'll... Actually, I don't want its line of sight to be too long, because, well, then that means the enemy can shoot at it from that distance as well. Okay. That'll do for that position. In fact, actually, set it up in the woods. Now, actually, that might be the worst position. No, let's try it. Let's try it. Okay, actually, line of sight isn't bad there. Line of sight is disrupted a little bit by assuming these hedges are getting in the way. Maybe that's not the issue. Yeah, and then we could... To escape, we'll move it back to hitch up to the carrier and drive around this corner to hide, and then from there move it wherever I want to move it to. And then for this one, fly somewhere close to where I had the ATR carrier initially. Okay, that toggles. I actually want somewhat better ability to fire down this way. Okay, yeah, this whole part 1 is gonna just be set up. So if you want to see some combat, might skip to part 2. And expect that to be uploaded a day or so after part 1 is uploaded. Just because upload times are insane. Okay. Okay, do I have anything that's covering this central area? Not really, no. That's a big open weak point right now. I don't like escape options from this. Any hope of an anti-tank gun being able to escape anyway is pretty slim. Well, I want to get everyone out if I can. Yeah, the main thing to keep in mind is ultimately this is a fighting withdrawal. The objective is for everyone to escape. So escape priorities for phased withdrawal is, we want to get the trucks out first. They're priority because I actually get victory points for that. Next priority is probably going to be infantry, then anti-tank guns, and then I'll withdraw the tanks last. Not because they're not important, but because, well, they're mobile firepower, and their firepower is more mobile than the anti-tank guns. And so they can fight and withdraw much more easily than everything else. There's the infantry, the anti-tank guns, they can't fight at all while withdrawing, because they'll have to be hitched up to a vehicle for that. So they are going to stay in position and fight until the trucks are withdrawn, then I will get them out of here. Hitch them up to their vehicles and retreat. So, easy access to some route to get to the bridge is also a factor. Yeah, okay, that anti-tank gun can mount up there and then take the rail-lined bridge. This anti-tank gun will be able to mount up there and take that route over to the bridge. If there isn't, if enemy tanks don't cut off this route too much. Then the infantry, I'll want to withdraw them in their carriers. Although they can withdraw on foot, but they'll be slower than the tanks, so I'll want to withdraw them first, before the tanks. Then the tanks can make a fighting withdrawal, and then reverse. But I want to exit everyone. I'll ceasefire the battle when everyone is out. that gets very good line of sight down the road. Basically no line of sight on the wheat field. No, we'll cover the wheat field with tanks. Okay, and... Fortunately, if you have good line of sight down the road, that means the woods aren't covering you well. Means there's nowhere I can put the carrier that the gun can get to quickly from there. Need to cover that road. Need to cover that road and that one. Both wheat field. And ideally something to bring everything over here as well. It'll take a couple of minutes for it to reach its carrier, but it'll be able to get away. Assuming things don't get too hot for it. Okay. So now I have 7 tanks. In 3 sections, 2 sections of 2 tanks each, and 1 of 3 tanks. And very roughly, the section's 2 tanks on each flank, and the one of 3 tanks in the middle. Oh, have I not placed this ATR carrier yet? No, I have not. Okay. The ATR carrier still needs to be placed. And a weak point for my anti-armor defense at the moment is this central area here. So it can cover that. Oh. This might actually be a good spot for the anti-tank gun. No, the anti-tank gun doesn't have as good observation. Because the BTR carrier is raised up a little bit. Hang on. That might mean its observation is just fine. But the line of sight tool is telling me whether or not it can see ground at these positions. Now I'm gonna keep it about here. Kinda see over there. Sloping ground is preventing it from seeing Paramount. I did unpause this, right? Okay, good. It is unpaused. Just needed to check that I had unpaused the recording. I'd paused it a little while back to go deal with some cat stuff. Okay. Put one of the tanks there. Go ahead and move the ATR carrier back there. Or yeah, well, that tank will get that spot. This ATR carrier will go in this direction, ambush anything that comes down that way. Alright, and I need to figure something to do with these two tanks. Except for this little bit here, I'm more or less protected from this angle. This anti-tank rifleman will give him plenty of warning if things start showing up along this road. And from here he can get some flank shots. I don't really have any good retreat options. corner right there. And that... Oh no, that's not a good spot. That's some very helpful text there. That body of water there is going to make retreat difficult, but not impossible, I don't think. So that may be more the domain of, say, this one. It's part of the left section. Part of the central section. Find a spot that's a little bit more central for this one. Actually, that logic probably applies to these ones. Probably want a little further left to find somewhat more. Check that these woods don't block line of sight quite as much as I would like. That carrier isn't quite as safe as I would like. No. Yeah, that'll be a good position. Where should I put you? What isn't adequately covered yet? The spot over here would give good flank attack options when they come up, but be deep in the mud and be almost impossible to get them away. So I'd be giving that tank up for lost. Could just put them right here, facing that way, but that means taking on whatever comes down that road head on. That's not a good option. Okay. Not a perfect position. Could get shot in the ass from this direction. I don't like the retreat options. Basically involve trying to back up around this lake, competing with this tank for that. Could place them in the corner beside that house. That again means facing stuff head on. You know what? I think it'll probably do. Alternative is there, which, you know, has the retreat option of back around this corner. Also has fewer blind spots, but it does mean taking on what comes up that road head on. This is a position where I'm a little bit more likely to get the drop on whatever comes up that road. It's got a fairly significant blind spot right there that you can see over here, and then got another blind spot over there. Bet he's not moving means he's likely to get the first shot off. Not sure there's enough good positions for all of my tanks. Or... Okay. I think that's better. There actually are a lot of good corner positions here. I would need a lot of tanks to use all of them. Okay. So what I have left, the infantry. What have I got as far as infantry? It appears to be, well, one platoon, but that's a lot of elements for one platoon. Oh, it's already separated out into its teams. I think I prefer to do that later. Yeah, separate them out into teams. Once I've figured it out where I want each squad. We've got a mortar and a Breton. So where do I want platoon infantry firepower? One platoon is not enough to spread out across this entire area, so one spot gets infantry support, everywhere else is out of luck. job of the infantry is going to be to provide observation. Maybe that's actually not the best building for observation. Or maybe the building isn't the problem. That's better. Alright, that's an excellent spot for observation. If I just knew where my FO was, that would probably be a good spot for them. This squad still to place. Get all the infantry's carriers into that square. I'll provide a little bit more observation. So Company HQ, another Company HQ, no FO. Right, and I have all these tanks here that only good for anti-personnel work, because they only have machine guns. Now, let's see, Mark 4B. What kind of machine guns have they got? If they're high-caliber machine guns, they might be good against German light tanks. In fact, I am going to pause the recording for a second, which you won't notice because it'll be instantaneous to you, and go check on the Mark 4B's armament. What kind of machine gun is that? Can it defeat armor? Is it a heavy caliber one? And I'm back. Mark 6B. Can't read Roman numerals. But yeah, okay. So that is apparently a 50 caliber machine gun, which does have some armor defeating capability. I mean, it's not gonna punch through a full 30 millimeters of armor very easily. I mean, maybe at point blank range, at a perfect 90-degree angle, it'll punch through 30 millimeters armor, but it shouldn't have too much difficulty getting through 15 millimeters of armor. If I can get it to... If I can engage German light tanks at close range, it should be able to knock those out. So, I need to set these things up in ambush positions where they can engage at close range. And I mean real close range. And pretty much just shoot at light tanks. I could probably... The tank comes down that road there. Oh. Yeah, that corner there. Someone comes down this road. Of course, if they come around here, then it's screwed, but hopefully this guy will spot that happening. Okay. Oh, target reference points. That's the last thing. Okay. Really is no one else there. Okay, so for target reference points, where should I place the target reference points? Assuming, of course, that I'm able to use them at all because an FO shows up. So for sure I'm expecting them to come through here. Now they have a range, a couple hundred meters. I'll put one there, one about there. That'll cover this whole area reasonably well, probably. The third one I will put either on this flank or on this flank. I think it's probably going to do the most good through over here somewhere. Yeah, okay. Well, one last thing that occurred to me. Do I want to fiddle around with any of these positions? Well, this guy's got a nice sandbag wall around him, so leave him in position. Is this truck serving any purpose? Probably go ahead and rotate it that way so it's going to have an easier time rushing the exit zone if I don't find another use for it. Alright, so those three are the engineer platoon, truck, AA gun, and we've got another AA gun back here. You know what? Yeah. I'm gonna leave those AA guns where they are. And you know, I think I'm about ready to start this battle. Is there any more fiddling around I want to do? Not that comes to mind. I would really like to figure out where in the heck is my FO? The briefing says I have one. I've got an infantry platoon with a Bren gun and a mortar. And 3 rifle squads. Platoon HQ. I have 2 company HQs. Neither of these are FOs. 3 anti-tank riflemen. And that's it. I don't have... I don't have a forward observer. So I'm probably not going to be able to use these target reference points anyway. All the forces that I've been able to find set up in maybe not necessarily the optimal positions. One day I'll probably look back on this video and cringe that, ooh, maybe I could have set this up a little bit better. But it's probably going to be fine. I'll probably do just fine. And in any case, this is the last British force getting across this bridge anyway. So it's not like it's going to make a major difference in the grand scheme of things, whether we succeed or fail. Okay, I guess if I'm done with setup... Oh, okay, I'm going to go ahead and press this go here to end the deployment phase. And I'm just going to check on one more thing. Can I now issue orders to dismount the ATR carriers? I cannot, which means I am done with setup. So, like I said before, this video is pretty much just going to be all set up for the defensive battle to come. Next video will be the actual fighting, so I'll cut it here and see you for the actual fight next time.